the Clyde Broadcast Podcast, bringing to you inspiring broadcast stories and the latest in broadcast technology.
I am Osato EDK here with actual Nigerian television royalty. A round of applause for ambassadors Isaac Moses and Nneka Isaac Moses. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm in awe first. I know we had a chat before the mic switched on, and I've been gobbling up so much knowledge. So thank you very much for this little masterclass already.
Wow.
I just want to know. I mean, I see you both beaming with smiles, but you created a TV brand that has just impacted so many people over the years. You launched in 1999.
Yeah.
Correct.
And next year, it'd be 25 years.
Absolutely. Oh,
Over
yes.
40 million people watch you.
Weekly.
How does that make you feel?
Honestly, I don't feel any different.
Really?
Myself. Because the thing is, do not let all these things get into you. You have to be, because without your viewers, you're nobody. So it doesn't make me feel any special because the viewers too are special for finding time to tune in and watch my show. I feel honored, I feel humbled, and I'm grateful.
All right.
Yes.
So I also have to ask this because it's not many times you see such an endearing and enduring, if you like, on-screen couple over the years on Nigeria, on any sort of television anywhere in the world. I was reading up, and you met on. Interesting thing how you met. Story how you met.
Yes.
We can say that you went to look for trouble.
You got trouble, right?
And you gave him trouble. Tell the story.
Oh, God.
Okay, go ahead.
No, why should I tell this
Tell
story?
the story.
Tell it.
There was some hitting involved.
Yeah, I know. But you guys have a way of making women feel defenseless. So I had to stand up for myself. What happened is that when I set off a movie,
Yes.
I think it's Love in Vendetta,
Absolutely.
in 1996. And, well, I was supposed to play his girlfriend in that movie.
See?
So we got behind the closed doors, and when
It was a rehearsal.
when the producer says action, we're now supposed to open the door and come out. So while we were there, and I was thinking of the first thing I'm supposed to say, it was my first movie, by the way. And then,
Wow.
yeah, and then he looks at me and just grabs me and kissed me like he knew me before.
Don't make it seem as if, I'm used to doing that. No, I
don't
was
know
trying
what
to
we-
get
well,
into
at the
character.
At the time, I don't know what he was trying to do. So I wriggled free and made good use of my right hand on his left cheek.
Oof.
And then I was expecting a big fight. And he goes, "I'm sorry, baby."
Ah.
And then, the next thing that ensued, the director says, "Action." So there was no time to go through what just happened. I came out, I wasn't as happy as I should be because
Yes.
I felt rough-handled that he did that. But then, well, after the whole thing, he came back and found his way to my house to come and apologize that he was just trying to get into character.
Exactly. I keep saying the same thing. I was trying to get into character. I didn't mean to be macho or,
So when do you plan to get out of character? Because you still...
It's been a long time, sir.
Well, now
You're stuck in character.
one thing led to another, and here we are.
And the following year, we got married.
That is just a brilliant story.
Yes.
Yeah, from something so, and then you are here now all these years.
So maybe, I'm saying maybe she actually liked it. Maybe.
Please, let's not
I don't
go
know.
there.
I don't know.
I didn't like it then because I didn't know who you were.
Uh,
But later, when you revealed your good self, then I said, let me
had
say that I was
everything.
glad you did that.
You see?
And you've built so many things together. You've built a family together. You've built businesses together. And
right.
I just want to know how you were able to translate from building a family together to knowing that you were going to build a media company together. When did that conversation happen? How did you know?
Well, it happened naturally. You see, as you start something, you watch the reaction of your partner or the person with whom you are working with, and I noticed that she showed some level of interest. And I decided, look, why don't we do this together? When I came up with the idea of Goge Africa, it was actually a radio. I had it in mind for radio.
Dance Africa.
Dance Africa. And she said, why don't you do this for TV? Because she was into costuming then. And I can dress you up in beautiful costumes so people can see. And I said, okay. TV is a bit capital intensive, and I don't have that kind of money. However, if you're going to do this, then we'll have to present together so that those who would watch this show because of me and those who would watch because of you, so together would have a lot of viewership. So unless you're coming in as a presenter. She said, no, she's never presented before. Why would she start now? I said, anyway, it's not a live program. If you make mistake, we'll do it again and again until we get it right.
Yeah.
And it's only the good one that will be put out there. So that was how, I co-opted her into it. And here we are today. The program is growing stronger. And back then, we were doing practically everything ourselves.
Yes.
She was doing the script. I was directing the show.
And you were reading the
And
script.
I was reading the script. We just...
We were producing our thing.
Wow.
And let me tell you, if you didn't know, the only reason I accepted to do that was because I can sell my male clothing.
Because you're a model.
Yeah, he's like a
Yes.
model, and I was modeling the female clothing
Yeah.
on the show. So I said, well, this is a good business
Sense.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is so brilliant because, I grew up watching that. Everybody knows the theme song. My producer, you were just having a chat about the
Yeah.
masquerades in the montage. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Goge Africa.
and I haven't had the chance in my life yet to travel to as many countries as I'm sure you have. You've been everywhere,
Yeah.
all over the world.
A lot of
But
places.
the thing I always ask is for people who do a lot of traveling, especially with your experience doing it for television and so on, do you still get any sort of culture shocks?
Oh, yeah.
Sure, yes, sure.
Can
It will never stop.
you tell me a few?
Okay. Well, in Ethiopia, I had to eat raw meat,
Why?
raw beef. It's their culture.
Pitfall.
And you're given such when you're a valued guest. Well, the tradition of that raw meat came when back in the days when they were having I think intertribal wars.
Yeah.
So when you're in the bush and you're so hungry, you kill an animal and you try to roast it. The smoke gives you away.
Yes.
Gives away your location.
Yeah.
And then, they'll
Maybe a
just...
bomb drops
Exactly. Bomb, there was no bomb. They will just circle them and slaughter them.
Okay.
So now what happens is that they kill the meat and they drink the blood raw and eat the meat raw. And that makes you a strong man or woman at war. So they translated that into becoming part of their culture over time. So that was a big culture shock. Another one was, okay, this is on a lighter note.
Yes.
We went to Opobo and I was wearing my jeans and t-shirt. At the time, he had trained me to be a camera person because I have very strong, steady hands.
Yes.
So while we were trying to cross into Opobo, then there was no road to Opobo. And one woman called me and said, you can't come into Opobo town dressed like that. She had to give me a wrapper. I didn't have a single wrapper. She gave me a wrapper to tie it around my waist so that my trouser would not show.
Yeah.
And that's the only way I'll be admitted into the town. And I realized that as a woman in Opobo, you can't walk around in trousers or knickers and all of that. So
That's fascinating. And I'm also really interested in the intricacies because you self-produced for a long time and it's really your content, it's your IP and everything.
That's right.
But shopping it to all these TV houses, the air for you must have been, there's NTA, you've done DBN, AIT, Mnet these days.
Yes,
Of course,
Mnet,
there's
you
stuff on
remember.
you online now as well. How was that process? Getting people to buy in to your vision at the time?
You see, we had a program. We had a content that was unique. Not many people were using culture as their main content.
yes.
And that was what we were doing, packaging it right and selling it out there. As a matter of fact, some TV station felt we could not sustain it. But somehow we did. And it's like every station wants something that is a content that is unique. So, and no, you don't have two of it on any channel. So it's very uniquely African, so they all wanted it. And what we did was to bring the content and they bring a good airtime. As a matter of fact, here at Africast, a lot of stations are still asking,
Demanding for it,
how can we get your content?
Yes.
And I said, okay, sure, give me your contact. Take my contact. Call me after this event and we can talk.
And when we started with Mini DV. So even the quality at the time, 20-something
Yeah,
years ago, digital,
high.
we started with digital, was quite high. And I remember the general manager of NTA at the time, he took a look at it and said, at that time we had about 5 episodes only.
Yeah.
He looked at it and said, this is very good and it's in good quality. How am I sure you maintain this quality and you'll be able to continue to produce? Do you have a funding? We said, no, but we will. He said, I'll take you on your word. He just signed us on like that. We went to AIT.
DBN, MITV.
Chief Raymond Dokpesi looked at it and
Just
said,
one look.
call them. I need to see these people. We came in. He said, you're on. Give them a good airtime. So we got that sort of leverage cross-board, And what we did is to maintain the quality. As soon as something new comes out in terms of broadcast, we try to acquire it. And before you know it, good market, they say, sells itself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. And I have to ask, because earlier we were speaking just before we started recording about how your success have birthed successors now. We have, travel influencers, people who are doing traveling for social media and so on.
right.
And I follow them as well because I've always loved travel content. And one of the things that they say is just how difficult it is to get around on a green passport, on a green Nigerian passport.
correct.
How did you people do it?
We without it. See, I saw a post on social media saying that Nigerians are, full of Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians are incarcerated in Ethiopian prison. And because I had been through Ethiopia Bowl International several times, and we're not disrespected. It turned out that if that airport is like a transit point for people peddling drugs to other countries.
Wow.
So if you are involved in that, or if you are found in any way, they would slow you down. They'll stop you. They'll put you in their jail. So the thing is, we moved around a lot with Nigerian passport, and we know what we faced, right? Some, like in South Africa, remember? They didn't trust us. They felt Nigerians can't just come here, just interview artists. They probably have other reasons behind their visit here. So the artists weren't showing up. Nobody wanted us to talk to them. But when they found out that really and truly these Nigerians actually are here to talk to the likes of Brenda Fassie, Chopper, Ringo Madlengozi, a lot of their artists.
True.
And then they opened the record company, Sony, Gallo Music,
and all of that.
So they opened up, and the artists were all over us wanting to be
We had
interviewed.
just a few days left.
Exactly, just a
After
few
we
days
spent
left.
like 2 weeks of
Exactly.
non-action.
Trying to prove our authenticity.
But I
Because we
understand.
had a Nigerian passport.
I understand what young people are going through. It's not
not easy.
any different at the time we started. The green passport is not the easy passport to anywhere.
Yeah.
But what we had for us is, first of all, we are on traditional media, we're on TV. So, but you couldn't Google us at the time because there was no Google.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But because we started crawling before we ran, for South Africa, our saving grace was the fact that we met there's this artist we met in Benin Republic. Remember, the two French
Artists. Yeah.
they came from France. They actually were media people. We met them, so they already know what we do. So when we went to South Africa and we're encountering these difficulties, we called them and said, see what we are going through. Said, don't worry. We know Nikki Blumenfeld.
She's an on-air personality
yes.
on
Now
a radio
she-
station. Kaya FM.
Yes.
Is it Kaya FM?
Yeah.
I think it's Kaya.
Yeah.
So
I listen to
what,
Kaya.
what,
Yeah, okay.
what, you know Nikki?
Yeah.
We
No,
met-
no, I listen to Kaya now.
Okay,
I know that
yeah.
Nikki's still
So,
there.
okay, cool. So Nikki now went on radio, called us to an interview, and after that interview, everybody that we ever wanted to see lined up. They lined up even before we left the station. That was when we met people like Brenda Fassie. And all the record companies were like, please come. Nigeria is a big market. So because when we started with playing African music and
Yes.
mixing it up
Yes.
with destination marketing.
Yes.
So that's what happened. It's never easy to travel with a Nigerian passport.
And of course,
it's
when
not getting easier anyway.
When we came back with interview of such, South African acts, including some fashion designers from South Africa,
Yeah.
every TV station wanted to have
Wanted to
shows.
have it,
The
yes.
content was,
Yeah.
and some people even thought we were South Africans.
Yes,
you
yes.
know?
That's so impressive.
Yeah.
I also want to know, considering you've traveled around the world, I'm sure you've visited some destinations repeatedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which of the destinations would you say, when you first went there, you weren't really sure of the vibe you were getting, but when you went back, it got better or probably worse. Were there any situations like that?
When we first visited Ethiopia,
Mm.
we were
It was a big welcome, remember?
yes, but
Our first time.
people told us that we're going to die of starvation.
Oh no!
That there's no food.
Yes, we
Oh,
wanted
yes.
to get our tickets,
Yeah,
and they were saying Ethiopia, those people are hungry,
hungry. You
won't
won't
get
like
food
their
to
and
eat.
all that.
And so, but we said we're going anyway.
Yeah.
So when we went, we were a bit skeptical, but then they put us in the best hotel,
Yeah.
and we really enjoyed it.
Exactly.
But I'll answer your question generically. The places that we've been to, that we're not always sure of the vibes are the French-speaking countries
Because
in
yes,
Africa.
because we don't speak French.
We don't speak French. We don't speak the local language, except for Benin Republic, where you can pass with a little Yoruba.
Yes.
So for French-speaking countries, it's they take you with a pinch of salt, and they don't warm up to you easily. Do Nigeria? You understand the Nigerians?
Nigeria.
So they have a preconception of who we are
Yes.
and what they think we want out of their country.
Yes.
But when we go,
Over time,
we will visit the francophone countries with a French-speaking guy among the crew.
yes,
It makes it a lot
makes it-
easier.
we
when
learned that the hard way.
yes. So usually we don't know what to expect, But by the time we visit such a place again, they know us now, and we'll come back again like Benin Republic.
Yes.
We'll come back again.
Senegal,
Senegal,
Ivory Coast.
they become friends. Isaac Moise.
Isaac Moise,
And
they call me Nika.
Nika,
Isaac Moise.
Yeah, je m'appelle Isaac Moise,
Goge Africa.
Goge
Africa.
Yes.
Goge Africa. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
So
That is.
one interesting thing that happened, talking about French language, is that many years ago, we got invited by Chad. They wrote us, the Ministry of Tourism, they wrote us a letter in French. And we didn't know that was an invitation. We got the letter, we looked at it, we put it aside because we had been invited by the president of the Gambia.
Yeah.
We were going to Gambia. From Gambia, the next invite was
Egypt.
Egypt.
Yeah.
So we just kept running. And there's this guy that speaks French that came to work for us. And he stumbled on that letter. We actually forgot the letter. He stumbled on it and he's like, wow, the French government, their Ministry of Tourism wants you to come for a particular festival. Did you go? How did it turn out? I said, well, let me see the letter. I said, oh my God, we didn't know what was written in there.
Yeah.
And, before
And we didn't care.
not that we didn't care. We just got overwhelmed by the information we understood.
Yes.
Right.
The English written letters and all of that.
yeah.
I remember those days you post the letters, post office. It's not
Yes,
even
take some
email.
time.
It
That's
takes
right.
some time.
Takes some
So
time.
by the time we got round to it, the festival had passed and we're like, oh my God, we missed the
goodness.
chance to go to Chad.
There was a time we were always visiting Paris every World Music Day.
Supported by
supported
the
by
French
the
embassy.
French
Alliance Française.
Alliance Française.
And Air France.
So now on this particular one, we went to interview Mano Dibango.
Okay.
You know Mano Dibango?
Yes.
A Cameroonian, but he lived in Paris almost all his life.
Yeah.
So while there, because we couldn't speak French, Mano Dibango understands a word of English,
Yeah.
possible English.
Yeah.
Yes.
So while there, he had his crew members,
His band members.
his band members. One of them was called Relema,
Ray Lema.
right? He said that if Manu Dibango speaks English to us, that he would quit the band.
Yes. If he grants us an interview in French, that he will leave.
He will leave. Now, how come these guys come here and force us to speak English?
Wow.
How in hell did they get the visas in the first place? Why can't they learn to speak French before they come here? How could they come here and make us speak English? If you speak English with them, I'm going to quit this band. So Madame now started thinking of all the broken French
That I've come up with. So I went to him and say, Monsieur Relima, mon ami, s'il vous plaît, mon ami.
Merci.
French, un peu. Merci, mon ami. I was just throwing everything out there. He just looked at me and he started laughing. He gave me a hug and started speaking English.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And
That is
honestly,
brilliant.
this guy spoke good English.
Yes.
I couldn't imagine that he was that.
They do.
Well, actually,
difficult.
The English-speaking Africans or African country, I think we're a bit pompous.
We are.
Yes,
Yeah.
We are.
The French people make effort to learn
Yes.
English,
Yes.
but we feel like it's not necessary.
Yeah.
We're looking up to America, England.
As
I
a
would
matter
think
of
our
fact,
world is complete.
Yeah.
French is our second language here.
Yes,
That's what it's
That's
supposed to be.
English, yes.
Yes, I actually quite agree. And we're just speaking because I was actually going to ask you, how come you haven't picked up French going to Paris all this time?
Français un peu,
Tu parles un peu.
Un peu.
Oui, oui.
But it's a shame because if I remember when David Yvet was at the French embassy, he called us and said that the French embassy wants to sponsor us to speak French and we can come to Alliance Française for free to learn.
Yeah.
That was an opportunity.
It
We didn't
was,
take it.
And it slipped.
Should have.
We should have, but then
should
we
have.
got entangled with travel here, travel there.
Yeah, I
We're
understand.
never stable.
I understand.
Oh.
So I didn't want to ask you because you mentioned something interesting about what you were told about Ethiopia before you first visited.
Yes.
And how crucial the work that you've done and the brand you've built is to shaping the perception and and the
Ethiopia.
power that media has to do that, because there are people who've never visited Nigeria that have an exact image of what they think Nigeria is, and I have as well. I mean, South Africa, xenophobic to Nigerians at least, but they're also very beautiful places. I'm sure there are good people in
course.
SA as well.
Of course.
When you get the results that you've gotten through your work, how does that make you feel, knowing that you're playing such a pivotal role?
Well, that means for me, I feel fulfilled when I see people now traveling Africa instead of always wanting to go to Europe and the Americas that they see and hear about. When we started throwing the spotlight on the music of South Africa,
Yes.
the tourism of South Africa, a lot of people wanted to visit. People started visiting, and I initially, visa to Nigerians into South Africa was on entry, on arrival,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of Nigerians were, migrating, going to South Africa for one reason or the other. But when the influx became too much, they now insisted you have to get a visa from here. And I see Nigerians, I see what we do impacting positively on Nigerians. And now we are clothes made by Africans.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, known designer foreign. Our dire became fashionable.
Yes.
People wore something made by African designers. We had to, I know how many African designers like Afam,
Franco Sodi, there are many
Franco
of them.
Sodi,
Arewa Couture.
Regalia, Arewa, even Sister Box. She's a South African designer. There's
A whole
Nalem.
lot of them.
Nalem in
from
Ghana made clothes for us to showcase on the program. And, it became African designers all of a sudden shut up, went up in their rating, and they know that now people are looking up to them. People are buying their clothing.
They're on the world stage.
They're on the world stage. They improved the fashion shows. African fashion shows became a hit. So it's not. It's not in small measure what was when you throw the spotlight on anything,
Any culture.
any
yes.
culture, you see, people, and even the people from that culture, they begin to gravitate towards you. They begin to watch. I remember meeting an Ethiopian woman somewhere here in Nigeria, and she said,
Goge Africa is the best show.
Goge, your show is the best on air. I said, oh, really? Why? He said,
Because
you
you
went
showed-
to Timkat. You
One of the
featured Timkat
festivals from Ethiopia.
in Ethiopia. And these people are beautiful people, when a beautiful woman says your program is the best on air, come on,
You
and
remember-
then I said, turn us till in, I speak one or two, Amharic,
Okay.
Yeah.
When you asked Isaac at the beginning of this show how he feels having impacted so much on people, and he told you, for me, I feel like on the spot constantly, because we have whet the appetite of people. We have put it out there, and people are looking up to us for more. People are looking up to us for authentic news about their culture. I call it news because sometimes you're hearing about a particular culture for the first time.
Indeed.
Now, I'm coming out of a panel where we're discussing fake news or fake content.
Yes.
And I say with all sense of responsibility that we usually carry that burden of let's make sure that what we're saying to people is the correct thing.
Absolutely.
So we're not like a flash in the pan, and we're not out to get followers for following's sake, because our monies are not from getting followers. But it's not really because about them or because of the money. The truth is that we feel that we have a divine responsibility to showcase the best of Africa, first to Africans and then to the rest of the world.
Especially as Africa keeps getting negative news.
That was when we started.
Yes.
Today, we are all pumping out our beautiful African stories.
Yes. Look at the Afrobeat.
Yes.
Look at what it's doing around the world, you know?
So for me, it's a responsibility. That's how I feel about the success of Goge Africa. It's a responsibility.
And part of what we did, MTN came in and started sponsoring festivals, in the
a lot of brands.
A lot of brands.
From banks to telecom. And the drink companies, and what have you. Yes.
And I'm very happy that you mentioned that your panel was on examining tools to help identify and root out fake content in the digital age. And you mentioned how big a responsibility that is, because it's important that people like you who've built a brand over the years can say that, because there are a lot of people who've consumed your content and may or may not know that they've been influenced heavily by the work that you've done, but may not pay as close attention to understanding the nuances when they present people's cultures and people's stories to a wider audience. So thank you, for saying that, and thank you for having that responsibility even after almost 25 years of doing Goge Africa. And just the one last question to wrap up is, first of all, how do you stay looking so young and staying ahead of the curve and going everywhere? How often do you exercise? We need the routine.
Did you tell them about Noel?
Noel,
the guy from
okay, that's what accolades is from
Caribbean.
Carriacou.
Carriacou.
From Carriacou, he used to watch our show from London, and he says that he prays, but that before he dies, he's able to visit Africa.
That's brilliant.
Do you understand? And that's the power of Goge Africa.
And he said that everything he knew or knows about Africa, he learned from Goge Africa.
So I want to ask, how do you, because it's a very competitive market now in the digital age, it's Instagram, how do you stay ahead of the curve?
Honestly, I don't see the competition. What the younger ones are doing online is what we would like them to do, to cover part of that space. Because if the void is there and African storytellers are not taking it, we have Europeans telling our story for us online. So it's not a competition. They are actually complementing and collaborating the story we've been telling over the years.
That's right.
And for us, we're still very dominant.
And telling it differently.
Yes, we're still very dominant in the traditional media. And that is even where we get lots of our patronage from. But that is not to say that we're not moving gradually into the digital media to help cushion the stories that our younger ones are telling online, and also help bring a lot of authenticity to the stories that are put out there. Because when people say, if you say, I saw this thing, these people, this is how they do in Guinea-Bissau. Somebody say, who told you that? Where did you see it? Once you say it is from Goge Africa, they say, oh, okay. But if you say it's from one blogger like that, I better go and sit down.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Yeah. So we need to also come into that space big time. And we're doing it gradually to authenticate what they are doing.
We're migrating. But we're not living the traditional media.
No. Traditional media reaches wider people. I mean, when we talk about social media, how many people are on social media in Boronu?
Fair enough.
You understand? Yeah. And the same, how many people are on social media in far away, one country that, it's social media is more for the cities.
Because
and
the data.
Mobile people.
Data is still expensive in Africa.
It's very expensive in Africa, and it's still coming. So the space of traditional media is where we are, and we need to keep that going. It's like saying that, because of the invention of email, the post offices don't work anymore.
They still do.
They're still there.
They're still profitable.
Very profitable, even more now. Because when you order online, don't you need it delivered?
Yeah.
Hello.
And it's good because you just mentioned what digital can do and how we can collaborate instead of just one
It's
thing.
a collaboration.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to achieve here at Africast 2023. I am so excited that I got to have you both. We're just sharing a story with the production team of how we tried to get Isaac Moses yesterday on the pod. We couldn't. Then I told my producer, whatever you do, sit in that panel and let's get. And then we have both of you together. Yeah. TV royalty, Nneka and Isaac Moses, Goge Africa worldwide.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.